Hello everyone. So we have been learning about the dentogenic concept, and let's make learning fun and easy. And I am Dr. Riddhi Lalan, co-author of Prosthodontic Mind Map book and also your mentor for dental material and prosthodontics. Let's just quickly understand one thing, okay? Here, when we talk about teeth selection, we are going to broadly divide them into two types: the anterior selection of teeth and the posterior form that will be selected. As the name suggests, the anterior selection is going to govern the aesthetic requirement of your complete denture, while the posterior tooth form is going to govern the function and the masticatory efficiency of your complete denture. And today we shall be looking into the posterior form of complete denture teeth selection. So let's just understand what are the ideal requirements. What do we want our artificial tooth to function? First thing that we are going to consider is that it should have maximum stability, efficiency, be aesthetic, and have lesser wear. Now, it's actually variety of design depends on the interpretation of requirement. Anatomic teeth, as we all know, if I have to divide it broadly into three types, I'm actually going to divide it according to its cuspal angulation, and it'll be divided into 33 degree, 0 degree, and 23 degree. 0 degree here implies to non-anatomic because there is no cuspal inclination with your perpendicular plane. 23 degree will be somewhere between the anatomic and non-anatomic, and it's the semi-anatomic form. And the third type being your anatomic or 33 degree. Now let's just look at the first thing, that is your anatomic teeth. As we all know, it's actually going to simulate the natural tooth occlusal surface. At the same time, because it is at the standard inclination of 33 degree, it's going to mimic the exact thing. It can be modified. So there is a scope of reducing the angle to your semi-anatomic and non-anatomic. Talking about the advantages now. As I told you, it has the standard inclination. So it is actually going to have aesthetic resemblance to that of your natural teeth. The efficiency is going to be very good because there is anatomic inclination that is present, correct? So that's going to help. In turn, will reduce forces on your residual ridge, and it's going to actually have a very great centric relation. It's going to be compatible with your oral environment, and at the same time, when I talk about balanced occlusion, I know that balanced occlusion will always be in integration with your cuspal angulation. So it's either 23 degree or 33 degree that's going to govern and help us arrange the teeth in balanced occlusion design, because the slopes are going to govern your excursive or lateral movements. So talking about the disadvantages, we know that it's going to have horizontal forces that are going to act because of the lateral excursive movements, and we know that non-vertical forces are always detrimental to the overlying structures. And at the same time, there is going to be loss of harmonious balanced occlusion with denture base settling. So then there was modification that happened, and it was somewhere between 30 to 0, and we came for the semi-anatomic teeth. So it was the four types, Gysi, Victor, Avery, and Maggrins, that actually came up with altered design. So according to Gysi, what happened was that they came up with a cross-bite articulation for various ridge relation. So this was given by Gysi. So Gysi introduced the posterior cross-bite relation. At the same time, Victor then came up with unlimited protrusive glide and limited lateral glide. There were two excursive movements that were considered, protrusive and the lateral. Avery then came up with locking system in anterior-posterior direction But for lateral excursion, there was free movement that could happen. According to Myerson Modification, there was shearing food in harmony with that of your lateral condylar guidance. You remember the formula? Yes. Now, because of this thing, what happened was that it led to increased in chewing efficiency. And that was one of the advantage of the modification that was given by Myerson curved cusp. So this was about your semi-anatomic and anatomic. Talking about the cuspless or monoplane, which is also known as your non-anatomic type of teeth. There were multiple variations that had come. Hall and Myerson actually came up with a flatter surface. So there was a flat surface with depression given by Hall, while Myerson said that there had to be transverse buccolingual ridges with sideways glide. Then Nelson and Swenson's both came up with one alteration in your cuspless tooth. Nelson considered chopping block to be more important, while Swenson actually thought that it was the non-lock that would be more balanced. This was the modification that was given by Nelson and Swenson's. The shredding action that was promoted by the chopping block and the balancing contact that was promoted by the non-locked system. Then Vitallium occlusal surface was promoted by Hardy, which had metal insert. So what was the particular characteristic? It gave a flat occlusal surface without any cusp height. It was totally cuspless. Because of this nature, there were certain advantages. First thing, it was less damaging. It did not offer horizontal forces, and in turn, because of this advantage, it led to reduced ridge damage. Now, because this was the case, this particular type of cuspless occlusal table became more suitable for conditions like bruxism, poor ridges, mal-related jaws, and uncoordinated neuromuscular control. But at the same time, what became problem? Because there was no cuspal inclination that was present to lock, there was occlusion in 2 dimension, which led to reduced shearing efficiency. The impairment was there for the grinding efficiency. Aesthetic was not great, and at the same time, there was no balancing that could be obtained because there was nothing to give lateral and maintain lateral balance. This is where the balancing ramp came into picture. Talking about the recent modification, Cook's masseters were nothing but occlusal holes that actually had stainless steel casting to bear the forces. Then came Bedder's cutter bar, which actually had a bar that was placed to increase the cutting efficiency. At the same time, there was Frush linear occlusal concept, which actually said that the flat posterior had mesodistal width. Now there was a linear thing, right? So what happened here is it used a single mesodistal ridge on the lower teeth. And the last was DeVan's Neutrocentric concept. According to DeVan's concept, it was the 0-degree teeth that eliminated lateral interferences. Let's just solve the MCQ now. Which posterior tooth form is most suitable in patient with severely resorbed ridge? It can either be non-anatomic, never semi-anatomic and anatomic, and modified anatomic teeth with balancing ramp. It will overcome the issues that would have been present if the occlusion was not balanced. So, modified anatomic teeth. Anatomic teeth can be modified into 0-degree and you give a balancing ramp to it. This was all about your MCQ. Let's just take a look at your flashcard. What are the types of posterior tooth forms used in complete denture? We have just studied about it. There are 3 types: the semi-anatomic, anatomic, and non-anatomic. So let me just quickly draw a diagram for you to understand it better. If I have this inclination and the angle between them, it can either be anatomic by 33, semi-anatomic by 23, and 0-degree, which means non-anatomic. And as the degree decreases, it becomes non-anatomic or cuspless. So this was all about your posterior tooth form and selection of your posterior teeth for complete denture. So don't forget to share this app with all your friends and make learning fun. I'll see you in the next video.